I'm just trying to decide if I'm comfortable even talking about that.
This one's wife. They've poppied up. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Well, like genital herpes, these two really, truly don't go away, despite you wishing that they would. They've been fairly quiet as of late. Harry was mincing around in New York, the United Kingdom, and then popped across to Africa. Since then, he hasn't actually been seen. We had a surfing video, but that was suspected to have been filmed some time ago. He also appeared like a Bond villain on the big screen at NATO, but again it was questionable as to whether that was actually live, a recording, or even if it was live, whether he was actually a Monty shit show. It did appear more to be the case that he had a background appear in order to make it seem like he was in Monty shit show, but in actual fact that he was hiding somewhere else. This one's wife has not been as prolific as she ordinarily would be. She appeared at the Children's Hospital in LA at their gala and at a charity event thereafter, but by her usual standards of being like Japanese knotweed, i.e. fucking everywhere, she's been pretty quiet. But now they've popped up in a video, the two of them standing there, talking into the camera, wearing poppies. Well, let's have a listen and find out what brilliant news that they have for us. After all, these two are such thought leaders. Undoubtedly, they're going to furnish us with some memorable observations about the way of the world. It would appear that their appearance was on the first day of the inaugural Global Ministerial Conference on Violence Against Children in Colombia. As you know, they visited Colombia in August, shortly after their charitable foundation, Archwell, launched the Parents Network to support families whose children have been impacted by traumas related to social media use. Let's have a watch and find out what they had to say.
UNICEF. Morning, and thank you to both the Colombian and Swedish governments, the organisation, UNICEF, and the Special Representative of the Secretary-General on Ending Violence Against Children for bringing us all together today. The first ever ministerial conference on ending violence against children comes at a crucial time, and, quite frankly, should not be required. But here we are. We are at a crossroads, where the urgency to reassess and redefine our approach to protecting children has become increasingly evident. While the necessity has always been apparent, it is now time to translate that awareness into meaningful action. So we thank you all for your attention to this critical issue.
My husband and I recognize today's reality is marked by greater connectivity and advanced technology, which of course has many positives, but which also compels us to better understand how digital violence against children is manifesting itself in this age. And at the Archwell Foundation, we engage with young people, families, and experts worldwide, learning how every aspect of a child's life, from their livelihood to their physical and mental well-being, now operate within an online economy that has the power to both shape and misshape our connections.
While the online world can help develop strategies to protect children from violence, it also introduces new risks, such as from individuals who exploit gaps in outdated legal systems, which often don't account for today's digital realities. We know that supporting parents is essential in reducing digital violence against children. That's why earlier this year, we launched the Parents Network, a support network for families dealing with online harm. Through trauma-informed practices, we help parents come together to forge strong bonds, offering healing support through community with the ultimate goal of prioritizing safety at the source.
Parents from the Parents Network are sharing their personal stories about their families' experiences with you all this week. We hope their voices and message will reaffirm this room's commitment to taking a clear-eyed approach to the reality of violence targeting children in this digital age. The stories have helped us to understand that as we better equip parents and caregivers and work to establish norms around the use of and access to technology as they relate to preventing violence, we must also commit to establishing standards that prioritize children's safety.
Young people are calling for help. Families are desperately seeking support. They are urging us to leverage the resources in this room to confront the new reality our youth are facing. We look forward to the actions and outcomes of the discussions that will take place here in Colombia, and are grateful for the leadership, expertise, and testimonies that will come together in this room to address all forms of violence targeting the most vulnerable in our world.
Thank you again for your commitment to preventing violence against children, both offline and online. Together, we can harness this moment to drive lasting change. Thank you.
Hello? 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 Yes, you can wake up. Undoubtedly, that may well have caused some of you to fall into slumber as you were subjected to the ginger waffle and the beige word salad. That's what they had to state in the video. This is the Global Ministerial Conference on Ending Violence Against Children, and it's taking place in Bogota over the 7th and the 8th of November. And as I'm talking to you, you will see across your screen the aims of the conference, End Violence Against Children, and it sets out the programme also. You'll see, for instance, that the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Colombia is in attendance. The Minister for Social Services in Sweden is there. The Special Representative of the Secretary-General on Violence Against Children on behalf of the UN Secretary-General. The President of Colombia is in attendance also. Director General from World Health Organization appearing by video. Deputy Executive Director of UNICEF. Regional Director, Pan American Health Organization, and so on and so forth. And as I'm talking to you, and you'll see the various names and positions cutting across the screen, you will see that it is a veritable list of experts. People who are established in their fields. People that work in organizations that are there to do with children, the protection of children, the well-being of children, charitable organisations, quangos, government organisations, and so forth. Experts. You will also notice that we've just heard from two individuals who are not experts. And what is interesting is, as you'll continue to see the various aspects of the programme over the 2 days come by, the Gruesome Twosome aren't mentioned by name. Now, is it the case that they have created this video just recently for inclusion and that's why they haven't been named? No. It's quite clear that this was filmed some time ago in anticipation of them having some involvement. It would have been organised for them to have poppies because it would be around the time of Remembrance Day when this would go out. And therefore it was done as part of their PR. But what is interesting is that they aren't mentioned in the programme, so they're not suitably important enough to be mentioned even though they are joining by video. But notice that an individual who joins by video, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, who is the Director General of the World Health Organization, he's joining by video. It's not clear whether it's pre-recorded or whether it's a video conference, but either way, he's mentioned by name and mentioned as joining in some form of video form. This one's wife and Harry don't even get mentioned by name. I suspect their segment was at 9:30, where it says video before the choir sang. It's evident that they were not deemed important enough to be involved in this, because otherwise they would either have been there or they would have been referenced by name. And it appears to me that when they were there in Colombia, someone came up with the idea that they would say a few words so that it could be shown at the conference. Would those attending the conference be particularly bothered by what these two have to say? Short answer would be no. And we all know that the reason why this was said was basically to make them look good, and in particular with regard to this one's wife for her facade management. It also adds into the fact that they still have not been seen together in a number of weeks, because this was clearly recorded back in August. This one's wife looks somewhat different to her appearance when she was on the green carpet at the Children's Hospital Gala event. But what is particularly noteworthy from this is that they were not invited to attend. They haven't been named in the programme. And this is because those organising it clearly didn't want them there because they're not experts, and presumably just agreed to them performing a video address because that's the type of thing that the Sussexes like to do, because it makes it look like they're involved when in actual fact they're not. Once again, particularly in relation to this one's wife, the parasitic nature of the narcissist of piggybacking something so it makes her look virtuous, enables her to manage her facade without actually adding anything. What they spoke about there, well, it wasn't controversial. You'd be hard-pressed to disagree with what they were saying, but it didn't really add anything. It didn't provide any insight. It was, we've got a foundation, and there are gaps in outdated legal systems, and we launched a parents' network, and of course you've got the usual fridge magnet platitudes and word salad from this one's wife. Clear-eyed approach. What the fuck does that even mean? The fact is, they were not deemed experts enough to be involved in this. And what do they know about digital violence against children? They're children, to the extent that they exist, far too young to have ever experienced it. And it really is just an instance of two individuals seeking to make themselves look good with having nothing meaningful to offer. And the fact that they have nothing meaningful to offer is demonstrated extremely clearly by the fact that they were not invited to participate in the programme itself, that they're not named in this programme, and you've seen the names of the people, you've seen the status that they have. A Minister for Social Development and Family from Chile, the Deputy Assistant Administrator, Bureau for Inclusive Growth, Partnerships and Innovation from the United States. A youth leader representing By Girls for Girls event from Nepal, also Bolivia, the Brave movement from Tunisia, people who are boots on the ground, people who actually roll their sleeves up and get involved. Now, of course, the supporters of the Sussexes will say, well, they're bringing attention to it. But are they? It's already been organised. I doubt that anybody watching that video thinks, oh, good, how can I get involved in ending violence against children? This symposium was already arranged, and clearly, given the number of people that were involved, this was organised months ago, if not last year. Given the necessity of getting all of these people in the same place who are all holding important positions. And quite clearly, this one's wife and Harry will have found out about this when they were there in August. Undoubtedly, this one's wife with her sharpened elbows will have wanted to muscle in on the action, and they've been told, well, sorry, programme's full up. In other words, NFI. But if you want to do a video, well, we'll show that. Thanks very much. And so that's what they've done. So what you have here is another example of the way that Harry and this one's wife involve themselves in something which actually they have no real expertise in relation to. Another demonstration of the hypocrisy, let's end digital violence whilst not reining in our own supporters that engage in threatening behaviour towards other people on the internet, which is well documented, which also includes certain YouTubers that many of you may well watch and listen to. And furthermore, it's pre-recorded, which also, once again, demonstrates something is going on because we haven't seen them together in a number of weeks. For those that might suggest, oh, look, all is well in the Sussex camp, here they are together. No, this was recorded some time ago. It's quite clearly the case, and they're not important enough or not expert enough to be involved in the actual programme itself. A little bit of thought about the whole process demonstrates once again the way that this one's wife utilises other people's expertise and passes it off as her own by way of character trait acquisition and facade management. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.